3. Giggles, I saw you in chat. Are you down to start a little early? I had you set for like 13 minutes from now, but if you're down now, I'll call you now. Retro, add me on Discord and send me a message saying you would like to be in the debate, and if I have a spot, then yes. All right. Hello. Hello.
I'm sorry, my mic was muted.
That is okay. Welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Of course, you may introduce yourself if you would like to.
All right, well, hello, chat. I'm MsSaltyGiggles, and my experience with DBD, just a quick cap of that. I'm an experienced rank 1 and survivor and rank 1 killer. I've played this game for just about 4 years, so I'm experienced in both categories, and I just thought that maybe I could share some perspective in this debate. I am really nervous, though.
No need to be nervous. You mentioned things to me, but I'm just going to let you take the floor, and you can choose. I know that you mentioned that you had a PowerPoint you were going to reference, so I'm just going to let you decide what you want to debate first, or I'm just going to let you take the floor, and we'll go from there.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
I didn't do the PowerPoint, but I do have my Twitter reference. And the first thing that I wanted to address was basically your Bubba Fishing Tuesday streams.
Mhm.
The reason I wanted to bring that up is to point out why it's bad for game health to camp early game or tunnel early game, also slugging early game. So there's no rules to Dead by Daylight, but there's the standard scoring points. Like there's a Dead by Daylight wiki that breaks down what you need to do in order to score blood points, and also how to earn emblems. Just really quick, I wanted to bring up that in one of DBD's anniversary streams or a live stream, they said that camping was a legit strategy, but that contradicts their emblem system, because in their emblem system, you actually get deducted points for being in close proximity to a hook. So that's the first point I wanted to make, that if it's a valid strategy, then why are we losing points for camping?
Well, I
Also,
feel they may not have been talking about directly to their emblem system. They might have just been saying that it's a legit strategy, as in a strategy a killer can use in order to create pressure or to kill all survivors, for
it
example.
creates pressure, but it goes against their system, which to me
Yeah, but
is just contradictory.
a point system isn't rules. Like a point system is if you want to get the most points, or if you want to do the most in each category to complete as much of your objective as possible. It's the same way that you can play Survivor and not do anything the entire game and sit in a bush the whole time, and then you can escape through the hatch, and you still escaped, but you didn't do anything.
That's not a win though to me, because
Right,
when
it's not a win to
when
you, but that's the thing with DBD, and I've tried to have this conversation with others as well.
Yeah, I've seen your past debates on the point
Yeah, no,
system.
I mean, no, a win is different for everybody, and I think, yeah, I understand if you're going by what you consider a win, then that's fine, but I don't think that pertains to everybody.
The reason why I think it pertains to everyone is because it's the guidance set out by the Dead by Daylight wiki. So like in any time you start a game, whether that's Monopoly or basketball, there's like a kind of how to play. So how to play is Dead by Daylight has an emblem system that is arcade style, that you earn points in each category. So that is the guideline when I'm going into Dead by Daylight. If I want to know how to play, that's what I'm referring to, because that is a system that is in place to say this is how you level up, this is how you rank up. And if you're not
Well,
following that rank system, then you're not really playing the game.
maybe people don't want to rank up. Maybe they just want to play the way that they want to.
They can play the way they want to, but that goes against the guidelines of the game that has been put out
You can
by the
call it
official
guidelines
developer.
for the ranking system, but it's not rules that say this is what you're doing, this is what you have to do, this is what you don't have to do. An emblem system is a pretty loose guideline of, hey, here's your objectives in a match.
But that's how you learn. That's how you know to play how to play the game. That's the same for any game that you go into. They'll be like, okay, this is your objective. This is what you have to do to earn points to level up. That's the premise of the game. That's
Right,
telling
but
you how to play the game.
pretty much any multiplayer game that's out there, you can use cheese tactics or cheap tactics to still win, just like in a battle royale, similar to as like I said in Survivor, you can do nothing all game and still win. Just like in a battle royale, you can sit in houses and sit in corners and wait out the storms, and then and then kill the very last guy, or maybe he dies to the storm, and then you win, and you're the victory royale, even though you didn't do anything that the game gives you points for. You didn't do anything that the game rewards you for as far as giving you XP, but it doesn't make it a non-legitimate strategy for playing the game if that's how
I
you
want
choose
I
to
want to
play.
compare it to FPS because FPS you can camp and it's based off of KD. So it's not necessarily you can win a game and yeah, that looks nice and shiny on your profile, but you can camp and increase your KD and there's no like penalty for that. But in in Dead by Daylight, there's a penalty for camping and it decreases your points. And so as I said, it's you can play however you want. I can play basketball however I want or Monopoly however I want, but if I'm not playing how the game is intended, then I'm not playing to win. I'm not actually increasing my score, increasing my chances of getting a better outcome. So I feel like the emblem argument is a valid argument because that's what you do to win. It's arcade style point gaining.
I
And
don't think this game is a competitive game. I would consider it more of a party style game than a competitive game.
I don't see it as Mario Party because
I would
a
compare it more to Mario Party than like League of Legends.
I wouldn't I don't think so, and simply because even though there's not ranked based matches, there's rank structure. So and it breaks down by rank. As you increase in rank, it's harder for you to stay in that rank because the points you have to get increases in order for you to stay that rank. And that's why you have all these rank arguments like, oh, I'm rank 1, I'm good at this game, da 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 da, because you have to you have to do things in the game or work harder to stay at that rank. So to me, it is a competitive game because they have that rank structure. Now I know DVD talked about taking away the rank structure, but until they do, even though there's no based matchmaking, there is rank structure.
But just because there's a rank structure and an emblem system doesn't mean that the players who paid for the game have to follow it. If it's not required for them to follow it, for them to be able to participate in the game, and
I'm just
there's
saying how the game is set up. That's the game is set up and how it's intended to be played is based off of increasing your score and getting to the next level. If you're not playing it how it's intended, which is based off that emblem system
But if
and
a dev said that a camping is a legitimate strategy, and devs have also said that I've seen multiple on streams and on Twitter and stuff saying that tunneling is not a big deal, and they also post on there what you can report for, what's bannable, what's against the rules. They say that you cannot report for camping, tunneling, slugging because none of that is against the rules. It is all valid. That's all in their official reporting page forum. When you look at what you can report players for what's against rules, what's cheating, what's this or that. So just based on that alone, based on the devs themselves, not based on however you want to interpret the point system, based on all of that, it doesn't seem like the actual creators of the game care too much if you camp or tunnel.
well, that's why I brought up the point that they contradicted themselves because if it didn't matter, then there wouldn't be a deduction for camping, and there is. You lose points if you're within 8 to 10 meters of the
Just
hook.
because the game is trying to incentivize you to leave the hook to go and do more, I mean that just makes sense in any game. The more that you do in a game, you should get more points. If you're going to spend time sitting around one survivor, you shouldn't get as much points as somebody who does go and actively try to get 12 hooks and achieves that. They shouldn't get the same amount of points, but that doesn't mean that the person who chose to go the route that gets less points, that doesn't make them invalid or make them wrong. It just means that they don't want to play for
I'm
12
not
hooks.
I'm not saying it's invalid, but I'm saying it's bad for game health because it's considered trolling if you're not playing the game how it was intended. Like I could troll any game. I could camp any game or whatever, not do the objective and play however I want to play, but it's bad for game health because not only are you like people who actually want to play the game and rank up and earn blood points because it takes forever to level up your characters, then you're hurting them because you're camping a first survivor at 5 gens, and meanwhile they can't earn any chase points or break points or anything else. I mean, you're subjecting them to the bare minimum, which is the Lightbringer emblem, which is the gen perks or the gen emblem. So I mean, they won't get that. They'll actually depit most likely. So yeah, it's like the killer can play how he wants and be like, okay, I don't care if I'm gonna lose points, but you're also subjecting the other people in the lobby to that, and they're losing points.
Okay, and so you're basing it most off of A, the survivor's ability to have fun, and B, their ability to gain points in their emblem system.
Not having fun, no, because you can still play the game as intended and die. And if you die, a lot of survivors will say, "Man, that I didn't have fun because I died. I didn't escape." But um, they're not getting the chance to earn those other emblems because it's laid out arcade style. This is the way everyone's like, oh, there's no official rule book. There's no rules to Dead by Daylight, but there is a guideline in the DVD official wiki that says this will earn you this amount of points and this will earn you this amount of blood
A
points. And
guideline and a rule book are not the same thing.
yeah, I just said that.
Right.
I'm
So
saying they're different.
so here you go. You want to say it's bad for game health. I say I don't give a fuck. As bluntly as possible. I paid for this game. I want to play it how I want. Whether it affects the health of the game, I could care no less than I do right now.
Johnny, I just want to address someone in chat. Johnny, the reason I said guidelines is because there's a DBD official wiki that lays out how you earn emblem points and how you earn blood points. So I would say that is like if you're learning how to play any game, like as I said, Monopoly or basketball, you'd go to see how it's played, and that it just addresses how the game is played through
Yeah,
those.
and I don't think this is even remotely comparable to a competitive like national sport in any sense
I
at
I think
all.
it is. I think it is in a way because in basketball you have goaltending, and I look at hook camping as goaltending.
Hmm.
And so goaltending, for people that don't know, is basically one example of it is if someone's going to make a shot and it looks like it's above the rim and it looks like it's going to go in and someone swats it away, you're denying that those points. So basically, if you look at goaltending as the killer being the one swatting away the points and the survivor going to make the shot, you're denying those points. You're goaltending the hook because you're and it's easy to just do that. It is a cheap way to play,
Okay,
and
but
to me,
who?
I don't think it's fair.
Okay, but who cares?
I do. I do for game
And,
health.
I don't care about the game's health. I don't think it's the player's responsibility to care about the game's health. That's up to the devs. If they want to go in and take this stuff away because they feel it's unhealthy, go for it, and then we'll all adjust to what the creators of the game say and what they implement. And in the meantime, every single person who's paid for this game and paid for the cosmetics and paid for the characters, um, and they're playing according to what the devs have said and aren't breaking any rules. I don't think anybody has to give any shits about the game's health at all. I don't think that has to be a concern. If someone's playing a video game, chilling out, I don't think they need to have, oh, well, I have to keep the game's health in the back of my mind. For me, I'm just like, I'm playing this game for fun, and I just want to play the damn game. I've never played a video game in my life and have concerned myself with the health of the game. And if you do, there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't think that should be pressed onto the player base as a whole, and that's something they all, as a collective, need to worry about because it's a video game. It has no effect on any of our lives whatsoever. Um, so yeah.
I think it does a little bit because
Hmm.
it affects your bottom line. If the game is in a poor health state and you're profiting or being known off of that particular game and it dies, then you're no longer benefiting from it because then
But here
poor
I
health state.
am, not caring.
Well,
So
Okay, fair enough, fair
you
enough.
know, you're right. You're right. I play this game for a living, and I could give a shit less if I get face camped, tunneled, gen rushed, teabagged, clicked, you name it. Do fucking honestly, somebody could come in and be a fucking hacker, and I'd probably just have a chuckle and move on to the next game. Um, you know what I mean? I personally just don't. I don't care. I just don't. I can't. Even if I try to think other ways, like the furthest it gets from me is yes, I can understand certain things are annoying when they happen to you. Some matches are less fun than other matches for various reasons, but that's not going to be every match. And if you have a bad one, go on to the next one. It's not, it's not the other side's responsibility, whether it's the killers or the survivors, to make your game fun. Your fun is your own responsibility, in my opinion. Because if there's people like me and countless others that I've seen, obviously most of the community complains about stuff, but I've seen a very large number of people who don't care what happens to them. And if one single person can have that mindset of, oh well, I'll just move on to the next one, that means that literally anybody can have that mindset. So would I rather have that mindset or the mindset that's fixating on every little annoying thing and thinking that it needs to be changed or nerfed or that the person doing that thing is bad? I choose the not giving a shit mindset, because it's, for me, when we're talking about health, I care about my health, my mental health, more than I care about the game's health. And it's going to hurt my mental health if I'm fixating on a million things in a video game that make me upset and that I want changed that won't be changed just because I want them to. So I'm going to focus on my mental health by not giving a shit, and the game's health can be left to the people who actually make a difference and can make changes in the game, because what I say and what I do doesn't make a shit regard, or it doesn't make any difference anyway. So.
Well, my main arguments were early game camps, tunnels, and slugs. So I just don't like them. I don't, and for every reason I've just mentioned above. I mean, I've been to a Midwich map where a nurse spawns in and she slugs everyone and bleeds out. Now, from my understanding, that there's been cases that people have been actually banned for mass slugging early game and just allowing survivors to bleed out and not hooking them. So I find that an issue. I also find
I would honestly agree, and as somebody who does advocate for playing how you want, I will agree that downing every survivor and just letting them bleed out, I think like that would be the one extreme that I'd be like, okay, like there's literally no reason to do that other than to just piss people off. Like, you're not trying to win, you're not trying to get anything out of that other than make the other person, like, maybe I don't know, I guess
that goes against what you said earlier, which is you're an advocate for letting people play however they want to
well,
play.
no, and I that's why I said if there was one little thing, like where there's just a tiny little spot in my brain where I'm like, that's kind of pushing it, then it would be that. But for the most part, like if that happened to me, I would just sit there. I'd go grab some fucking apple juice out of my fridge. I'd go grab some fucking Doritos, and I would just chill. And then I would bleed out, and then I would move on to the next. It wouldn't affect me negatively, but if there's going to be something where I can be like, okay, I can. I'm trying to find common ground with you, and if I'm going to like find any common ground, at least at this point, that they would be there a little bit, but I am still on the side of play how you want. I just wanted to say that, like, there is maybe like, I guess what I'm saying is I wouldn't compare slugging everybody for 4 minutes to early camping or early tunneling. Like, I think that's completely incomparable. I think doing one thing to maybe get an early kill or get an early head start, or maybe you're doing it because people are rushing the hook, like doing something because it's part of your strategy to win, as opposed to doing something for whatever other reason. I don't think it's. I wouldn't compare the two, I guess, is what I was trying to say.
Slip them together because I think that all three of those things both negatively affect the game.
Okay, so you would say that somebody camping or tunneling early in the game is just as bad as if somebody were to slug all 4 survivors for the entirety of their health bar.
I'd say it's bad, but I would say there is a little bit of a difference. It's a little bit worse than the camping and tunneling.
Okay.
Early game. Because that when you camp early game as like say basement Bubba, then at least the survivors can do gens. They're not going to get any other emblem points, but at least they're getting something. And most of the time, yeah, they can escape. But one player doesn't get to, which I mean, it is what it is, but you know just as well as I know that late night queues or evening queues for Survivor are atrocious. So you say just move on to the next game. Well, me who works full time and enjoys Dead by Daylight, it kind of sucks when I want to go in and blood points to level up survivors takes a very long time, and I'm against gen rushing too because you don't earn points. You depip for that as a survivor. I'm for what gets me the most points. And if I die and I still get like 15 or 16 points, I'm happy. But when the game is just kind of held hostage, which I think in a way it is like that because it's negating all the other point categories, then I don't think I think it's really bad for game health.
Yeah, I don't agree, and I same thing as before about the game health is, and I don't think there's anything wrong with you caring about game health. I don't think there's anything wrong with the mindsets that you have for yourself. But I don't share those, and I don't think that others need to share that as well. I think that's something, if you want to have that mindset, you can, but it's not like objectively what everybody has to follow. I don't think,
I
because
mean, fair enough.
because
Like
I
to
do
share
Basement
my
Bubba
perspective.
for reasons of, not malicious intent. I do it because it's very fun. One day a week to play a completely different style where I'm placing a trap, I'm sitting outside, and I'm seeing if they're gonna fall for a trap. It's like pretty much one of the only ways you can just completely play the game in a different way.
It's
And
still it's still trolling when you're not playing the game as intended. It's a troll. It's camping as a troll. Those are troll tactics. Like in an FPS game, say Battle Royale, your objective is to go around, get the most kills, be active in the game. If you're inactive in a game, you're trolling. That's a troll.
okay, I don't care. I'm playing the game to have fun, and I don't, if I'm playing in a way that's not against the game's rules, even if it's against the point system that I don't care about, also don't care about. I don't care. I don't care.
All right,
I just
fair
get,
enough.
and I just, and it would be different where, it's the whole treat others how you want to be treated, and that's where I'm like, I've gotten basement bubbed, I've gotten face camped by pretty much every killer that exists, and
Same.
there is not part of me that could care any less than I've cared when it's happened to me. And it's not just because I do it; it's because I just can't fathom how it's a big deal. Even as playing this game back, I mean, sure, queue times can be long now, but they were, before crossplay, they were so much longer.
Yeah, I
They were like
know.
30 minutes, and
Yep.
I would get face camped then, and I wouldn't care. I
Yeah,
didn't care.
I did. I cared. That sucked.
So that's what I'm saying is like, I like, I don't, it's, if you do,
I
that's,
don't really think I don't care is a good form of debate, but I do get what you're saying. Like you're advocating for play however you want. So
yes,
I
and I
get
don't
I
think
get
that
the
things being annoying or unfun for one side is a reason for the other.
it's not really annoying. It's not that I'm bringing up the points that it's annoying or unfun. I'm bringing up the points of how it affects the point system, like how it hurts the game. It is annoying and unfun, but those weren't the points that I was trying to make. But
I know, but it's like I said, a point system where it's a little guideline of little things for you to get more points. That isn't, or it's not the same thing as a rule book that you have to follow step by step in a match. It's very much not the same thing. So if you don't go by the like assisted guidelines of getting points in every category, it doesn't really matter too much because it doesn't affect you in the way that like you're gonna get banned or you're gonna, it's not against a rule book. Guidelines and a rule book are two very different things. Just like I said, you can play battle royales and you think that playing a certain way in a battle royale is also trolling, and I agree. I disagree with that too. I think you should be able to play any way you want in any game if you're not cheating or,
right.
do whatever.
Okay, fair enough. Those were my points on camping and slugging. So the other point of the trio the Triforce of bad game health would be tunneling. And I just want to make it clear to chat that I am an advocate for I have camped and tunneled, but I don't do it early game. I increase pressure as pressure is applied to me in a game. So if I think that by tunneling mid game that it'll increase pressure on other elements of the game, then I will do that. Or I'll camp end game, because once all gens are fixed and the gates are pretty much, there's no other, your method has to be camp, because that's how you draw the other survivors to you, because you don't have gen pressure anymore. You can't pressure gen. So going back to tunneling, when you are just going after one survivor, I do feel like it's targeted, because early game you just hook the first survivor, then you get a hook notification, you go back, you tunnel that survivor. It's the equivalent to spawn camping. It's the equivalent to spawn camping in like Call of Duty. You're waiting for them to get released and you go back, and I think that is not good for the game, especially early game.
I disagree. I think that there's a lot of ways to counter tunneling, and I think that if somebody wants to play in a way of like, I want to get somebody out of the game early so that the rest of my game is easier, I think that's an actual strategy. Whether you want to get the weak link out first or you want to get the strong link out first, I think that it's that tunneling early, and I don't tunnel early in most of my games. I do it here and there, maybe if I've had rough games before or if I'm playing a killer I'm not good with, but I do it sometimes. But yeah, I don't think it's an issue if somebody wants to try to get someone out early in order to make the later game easier. And in a lot of cases, tunneling doesn't even benefit you if you're going against, an average or above survivor who can loop. It's, you might not even be able to tunnel them for 3 hooks, because by the time you've tunneled them for their second, all the gens might be done. And if they have DS, or if their teammates have BT, there's so many things you could bring to counter tunneling anyway. So yeah, I don't think it's I don't see why it's an issue.
Or I'm a little more flexible with tunneling, because I do agree that, I mean, the game becomes severely killer sided when you get one person, when you leave it down to 3 survivors. So if you tunnel one person effectively off a hook, get them out of the game early game, then I mean it's really easy to control the map at that point, because it's almost as like one person DCs and you're down one person. Excuse me. So it is an effective strategy. I just, yeah, I just don't agree with it. I guess I'll just leave it at that. It's like different perspectives.
Yeah, I think it's rare, especially in red ranks, that if you tunnel a survivor, you're able to down them immediately, hook them, down them immediately, hook them. It's not that easy in pretty much every single game, and that's coming from somebody who does tunnel, not at the beginning usually, but who does tunnel in games to try to secure kills. It's not as easy as they get unhooked and then you down them and then hook them again. Most of the time, there's borrow time. A lot of the time, there's body blocking. A lot of the time, there's decisive strike. Some cases,
I solo queue. I don't run any of that. It's all variables. Those are all variables.
Yeah, it's all variables. That's what this game is. It's all variables. So, and I when I play Survivor and I'm getting tunneled, that's the shit that I run into. It's very rare that I'll get downed immediately off of my hook. Like the killer literally has to be standing there. You usually have time to run to like a window or something and get a little bit of distance. It's, unless they're face camping, which that's a whole, then there's that too. But yeah, I just think it's rare that they can get you out of the game like quickly enough to where, like that last video that I just posted where I was playing Huntress and the survivors were coming from both sides, and I was like sitting there going back and forth, and it was early in the game. All they had to do, and they probably would have won the game, is traded. 2 of those survivors had BT. If they would have just committed and traded, then all of that time that I sat there and waited for that survivor, now it resets to the next survivor. And then the others keep doing gens. It's so easy, especially if You had,
Not
but
many people are that skilled though, Spooks.
I
Not
disagree. I think that a lot of people are. I don't think it even takes that much skill at
to be
all.
trade. I mean, I as long as I've been playing this game, I've literally am like trade with me, trade with me. Like I'll say that in game if I play like duos, but they don't understand the. You have to be playing with some really good survivors to know to hook swap. I call it hook swapping,
I don't know.
but I
I
do
I
agree.
see it in the majority of my games as survivor and killer. People hook swapping. I think it's
Damn.
very common, personally.
I wish it was. I would have won a lot of games that way. um, all right. I only have two more points to make if that's okay.
Sure.
The only other point, well, I'm sorry. The first other point I want to make is that I was training. I have an Xbox account that I switched to from PC. That I was helping my friend. She was new to DBD, and I was trying to teach her. And all of our gray rank games were camping killers. So when it comes to you being an advocate for playing however you want to play,
Mhm.
it was really hard to teach her the game. Like I started in customs. I kind of showed her how to play a survivor, like basic stuff, and then showed her a killer perspective about the scratch marks. We went live with it, and it was really hard to play with her because of the camping. And I would hook swap with her, and I would just let the killer camp me so she could experience the game. So being an advocate for playing however you want and seeing or hearing how it affects how I'm trying to train a new person to the game. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, just like you said, I think there's a lot of survivors, like yourself, who are playing with rank 20s or other people who are their friends, maybe. Or I know there's a lot of survivors who de-rank or make new accounts just specifically so that they can play against baby killers.
No,
And
no, no, I'm not smurfing. This is legit just a training account. I only went on it to teach her the game, and I always let the killer kill me at the end. I don't troll them. I'm not disrespectful to the baby killers. It's just to help my new friend, which I've only done this twice, learn the game. But
so I think in order to get camped, you have to get chased. And I think if you're gonna play every game, if you're getting camped every game, you need to focus on that chase. You can watch videos and tutorials. You can hop in and kill your friends with you, and you can be the killer, and she can be the survivor, and you can show her tiles. There's a million different ways you can learn how to play the game. And just getting chased by that camping killer, them chasing you to down you and then hook you, that is learning. And when you get downed, you're like, okay, well now I'm not going to do that next time, and
so your
that's
stance
that.
on for new players is that you should learn for new players that are being camped, the best avenue for them is kill your friends and tutorials online, like via YouTube.
I would say focus on the chase, like the chase before you're going to get camped if the killer's camping. Because the chase is the most important thing. Because like even like I said, even to get camped, you have to get chased. So that means you will learn at least a little bit. Like if you get hit and you run to the corner of the map and then you get down again immediately, like, well, shit, that didn't work. Maybe I shouldn't run to the corner of the map. Like you have those experiences.
Yeah.
So it's not like you spawn on the hook and then you get camped. Like you have to end up.
Yeah, so the thing was that because she was not good at chases, she would go down and then the killer would camp her, and I'm like, oh my god, she's being camped. So I would go save her and then basically hook swap with her, and I just tell her just go play the game, and I take the L. Basically, that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, people, those players, that's they're new as well. They don't know how to do chases. They feel comfortable just securing their kill, and eventually they'll learn that they're gonna stay in yellow ranks by just camping one survivor all game, or they're gonna be only getting one kill by camping one survivor all game, and maybe they'll change, maybe they won't, and they'll just stay at rank 20 camping forever.
Hard. It's actually hard to teach a new player corrupt. They literally know nothing. like at all. But another point I wanted to bring it up. I really didn't want to touch on this because we kind of already talked about this on Twitter. But it was about what is considered toxic behavior in Dead by Daylight. I know it's a lot of mixed feelings. I do agree with you on the fact that it is an effective mind game strategy. That clicking your flashlight, crouch spamming, and BMing is a way to frustrate players to end up making mistakes. But at on the same token, I don't agree with changing that. Well, I agree with changing the narrative, but I disagree with painting it over as something that it's not. Which, in your positive mindset, you said what helped you was looking at it as not paying attention to it to help you just overcome that. But I feel like it also invalidates other people's mindset when they have a hard time with it because you say it's just a video game. But I could say that about it's just a movie, but I still cry on Iron Giant because it's sad. So it's just a movie, but it still made me feel sad. So it's just a game, but when someone plays and taunts you, and they taunt you in a way that frustrates you, that affects someone negatively. So I don't necessarily agree that it is toxic, but I do understand how people view it as toxic and how it can affect their mental health. And saying it's just a video game kind of invalidates their feelings or how they feel about it.
So, how do you feel about, because I know you like to bring professional sports in as an example, how do you feel about people in professional sports that taunt each other nonstop, whether it be NFL, basketball, hockey, and they taunt each other?
They get penalties for it.
Not for taunt. No, they don't. Not for just taunt. If it goes over the top and they're fighting, but if they're just taunting and like talking shit, because in football especially, they point and they talk shit and they say things all the time, and then at the end of the game they're shaking hands and nobody actually cares.
What I've seen, even in esports, there's penalties for taunting or trolling in a game. If you look at the ESL guidelines, which is the esport rules,
I
it
don't watch
literally says
esports. I was talking about professional like sports.
esports is considered a professional sport now.
Okay, well, yeah, I don't watch esports, so I guess I wouldn't be up to speed on that.
But there are penalties for unsportsmanlike conduct.
Right,
That is,
but just like basic taunting and talking shit, that's not unsportsmanlike. If you like
if the ref hears it, it is.
Okay, my point is that players taunt each other, and it doesn't like they're still shaking hands at the end of the game, and nobody's like going on Twitter and going, "That fucking Randy Moss was really toxic to me." Like,
I'm coming from the perspective of the community. It does not affect me negatively when someone taunts me in game. I do it. I crouch spam, click, BM, whatever. But I'm saying from the perspective of the community, what I've seen in recent arguments is that you're combating people saying it's not toxic. And then I'm just trying to bring in another perspective where I'm saying it can be seen as toxic because XYZ.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm not saying that people aren't allowed to have their opinions, and if they want to see it a certain
Damn,
way.
chat doesn't like me right now.
Yeah, I just completely don't think that that it's toxic. I don't. I think calling things like that in a game toxic makes the word toxic like it just destroys the word toxic. Like then you bring in the word toxic to things in that are actually toxic, and to me it just.
Would you say it's trolling? Would you say that
Sure,
taunting
maybe,
is
yeah. I mean, if you're teabagging in the exit gate or clicking your flashlight, sure, maybe, yeah. I could say that that's trolling. Why not? But
no,
I don't think there's anything wrong with trolling.
but trolling, if you look at like studies and the definition of trolling, it is considered it's considered toxic.
I would say that's bullshit. I'd say if I fucking rickroll somebody, that's toxic. You know what I mean? I think it's pushing the line. It's reaching a very large amount, I think. I don't think clicking your flashlight or crouching up and down in a video game makes you a toxic person. And
Yeah, I mean, I agree with. Thank you for that, because people call me toxic because I do that, but I'm just having fun. But again, I do hear it a lot on my side. People call me toxic for it, and I just wanted to hear a stance from someone else that, you know, if it's defined as trolling and trolling is defined as this, and it does affect people negatively, then I wanted to know, am I wrong for being this way?
it
And
doesn't
you're just
affect people negatively because you're doing it. It's affecting them negatively because of the mindset that they have. You can be offended by anything, like literally anything. Somebody can look at you the wrong way, and you could be offended, right? And you could be like, I didn't mean anything like hurtful. I didn't mean to like hurt you as a person by doing that. But they could just be hurt. Like everybody is offended in different ways. They're offended by different things, and at different severities are they offended. So if you don't want it to hurt you, you simply need to, you know, chill out and understand what it actually is. If you take a deep breath and like, and this is somebody who, and I've said this before, when I first started playing DBD, I was on the bandwagon because I saw what the community was doing, and I just hopped on the bandwagon. So when people were body blocking me as killer, I would call them toxic. When people did these things, I would call them toxic. And then I would just find myself like feeling bitter after games. And then I just one day was like, why do I care? Why does it like I'm sitting here like ticked off and resentful after this match? Like I don't want to feel this way. So what did I do? I changed my mindset, and anybody can do that. If I can do it, anybody can do it. It's not, you know.
and that perspective right there actually helped me a lot, because
And
after seeing
I've seen a lot of comments of on my channel of people saying the same thing. Of I used to take this game seriously, I used to take this seriously or this seriously, and now I don't take it seriously and I enjoy the game way more. And when I get comments like that's like the biggest compliment that I could ever get on my channel is that I've helped people enjoy the game more in a much more chilled out, less like aggravating and like, you know, just shaking in your boots, pissed off way. Like that's my goal with it, is to be like, hey, none of this shit is actually important, okay? None of this shit actually matters. You have real lives outside of this game. What these people are doing with their animated characters, it does not matter. And even if you want to assume their intentions with it and assume that they just are trying to ruin your life by it, like you assuming that, even though you don't even know who that person is at all, you don't know how old they are, like you don't know anything about that person, and yet you are assuming everything about them, all of their intentions, all their personality, everything. You're coming to all of these assumptions because of a crouch and a flashlight, or a smack on the hook, or a shake of the head, and it's such an unhealthy way to think, and there's no other place that it's going to lead you aside from anger and resentment, and it's not a good way to live your life, in my opinion.
And thank you for that. Thank you for that perspective, because I think that is a healthy perspective that has been having a really positive influence on the community. And I look at it as, if I'm being on hook, that the killer is just tenderizing my meat for the entity, and
Right.
that's helped me a lot.
It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. Um, and I know I'm really over time, but if I could just say one more thing, that would be
Yeah, go for it.
okay. So I heard your previous discussion on NOID, and I don't have an issue with NOID. I think it's any perk in the game is valid. I don't criticize anyone from using any perk, even if it's plunder, pharmacy, whatever you want to use it. But um, for second chance perks, why is it that for Survivor, Borrow Time, Unbreakable, Decisive Strike are all character-based perks, and NOID it is not assigned to any killer, meaning that in the Blood Web you can unlock it on pretty much any killer you start with. But so you have that automatic second chance perk. It's not assigned to any killer, but all the second chance perks for survivors are assigned to that specific survivor, and you have to purchase them or earn them in order to get that second chance perk. So I do think I feel like Noah should be assigned to a killer and not just be automatic in the Blood Web, because it's not like that for Survivor.
Hold on, I'm reading chat. Somebody, so when I got the game, certain characters were free. Yeah, and I got the game on PC, and I have David. Is David free to my knowledge? Because when I bought the game on console, or when I got the game on console, I had David, and I also have David when I got him on PC. So is David free? I'm genuinely asking.
I'm specifically talking about Unbreakable, Borrow Time, and Decisive Strike. And
Okay.
Lori's a licensed killer, so Decisive. I know you speak heavily on Dead Hard, which is David, but I'm speaking of Unbreakable, Decisive, and Borrow Time, which are also second chance perks, but are assigned to specific killers, or I'm sorry, specific survivors. Imagine killer with Borrow Time. And no, it isn't. It's not assigned to any killer. You can get it in your base blood web.
Okay, but so you're saying killer has 1 second chance perk that they don't have to purchase, and you're saying to ignore Dead Hard, which is the one that I always compare it to. That seems
No, I'm not. I'm not saying ignore. Okay.
Dead
I'm
Hard
sorry.
Dead Hard is 100% the biggest example and the biggest comparison that I have with Sprint Burst being a close second. I wouldn't even put Decisive Strike in the or Unbreakable in the conversation. It's Dead Hard 1,000,000%. Is in my opinion the most comparable to NOED.
My thing is, I think chat's confused. I'm not saying whether you have to purchase a character or not purchase a character. I'm saying that those perks are assigned to specific survivors. So if I wanted to use Borrow Time on, say, Meg, I would have to first unlock it in my blood web to use it on Meg. Noah doesn't have to be unlocked. You can literally get it in any killer's blood web. So that's what I was saying. How come every second chance perk is assigned to a specific survivor and Noah isn't assigned to a specific killer? That's the only thing I'm saying. I'm not saying.
Well, you're asking why, and I don't know. I didn't design the game. I don't know why. They just made it that way, I guess. I don't.
The only reason I think that it matters is because killers have specific powers, or different specific powers. All survivors pretty much play the same, so it doesn't really affect them to not um have it in their basic blood web. But for killer, if Noah is available to anyone, then you can literally get it on any killer. So I just always was confused why it's not assigned to a specific killer. That way you actually have to level someone and unlock it on a blood web to get it on other characters, which I think would make it a little bit more fair for everyone across the board. I'm gonna get so much hate for this. I'm sorry. That's all I was trying to say. I hate that that's my last point.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I mean, if you want NOED on every killer, you're still gonna have to spend points on every killer, and potentially not get NOED in your. It's all literally a chance. And if you want Dead Hard on every killer, you spend the points and get it on Dead Hard or get it on David, which it's just to level 30 whatever, and then now everybody else can have it. Just like you had to level up to get it on your killer, you had to level it up to get it on David, and now if you want it for your other killers, you have to level it up, till you find it in the blood web for that killer, just like you have to level it up as a survivor to find it for that survivor. Like, there's still a grind on both sides if you're trying to get it for multiple characters. Like you said, for a survivor, survivors don't, most people main like a survivor, a lot of people do, so they'll just grind that survivor and then they'll have all the perks they want and then they're good to go. Killers, people like to play a variety of killers, usually, or they have like a few, so they would need to level up all their killers, and at this point in the game, with how many perks there are, getting NOED in the blood web can take quite a bit of time, depending on how many killers you have and how many perks you have unlocked. But even the amount of base perk games, you still have to grind a bit, potentially, to even get NOED in your blood web.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. I don't have any issues with the usage of the perk, guys. I think a lot of you guys are in chat are like, "What's wrong with Noah? Just cleanse totems." Like, I don't have any problem with the perk at all.
I get what you were saying though, of how NOED's a non-teachable and that exhaustion perks are teachables.
Yeah, that's the only point I was trying to make.
Yeah, I get that, but I still think that regardless, the grind is still the same for getting them on your killers or getting the other perks on your survivors. Like, I think the grind is still pretty equal as far as like spending points and getting perks. That's just what I think. But
all right, well, fair enough. That was the last point I had. I think it was a good discussion. I don't know, a good debate, maybe.
Yeah, no, I think there was good talking points. I was very organized too, which I appreciate. So
You're welcome.
it was good having you on. And then I will let you. I think you stream, right? So if you would like to plug anything, you have the opportunity.
I feel really awkward plugging something, but so I won't. But everyone knows in me and chat, you see me. Well, not everyone, but most people do. MsSaltyGiggles on Twitch. I work full time, so I probably do like 1 or 2 streams a week. I play a lot of Dead by Daylight, and I'm just yeah, I'm out here in the Twitchverse. But yeah, thank
Cool.
you, Spooks.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna plug, but I did. Sorry.
No, I welcome it. It's totally fine. So yeah, it was a pleasure having you on, and I will see you around in chat, I'm sure.
All right. Yep. See you, Spooks.
All right, bye.